This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to your Tuesday edition of the afternoon show here live on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. The host and producer today, Logan Landers, and I got a full cast and crew joining me, as always, going to be Chris and Tony Gonzalez, and our special guest today, Big Glenn. And we have a lot to talk about. The show is going to be predominantly NBA heavy, as a lot has transpired in the last 24 hours. So we're mostly going to focus on that. We're also going to talk a little bit of boxing and also a couple of smaller NFL news that is coming out today. But for the most part, all basketball, all on the court here. But before we get started, guys, if you enjoyed the show, like, comment, share, and subscribe. We go live each and every single day and week here on the channel, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, anywhere else. Just look at our link tree in the description. You can find all of our shows, the rest of the network shows, Chris, Tony, Glenn, everyone's shows on there. You can see clips as well and so much more. Just follow the link tree in the description. So first off, guys, we all know the three of you are based in the Indiana region area of the U.S., and some big news has came out of that state in the last day. Big Glenn, I know it kind of breaks your heart a little bit. You were there in the finals due to this man, and that is Miles Turner. He is gone, but he's not just leaving Milwaukee, or he's not just leaving Indiana. He's going to the rival in the Milwaukee Bucks. He kept it in the East. The full terms of that deal, 4 years, $107 million, which includes a player option in year 4 and also a full 15% trade kicker as well. In addition to that, just kind of couple with it, the Milwaukee Bucks have waived Damian Lillard, and they're going to stretch the remaining $113 million on his contract in order for them to acquire Miles Turner. As we know, Lillard is more than likely going to be out for the rest of the season, of this upcoming season, due to a torn Achilles injury. So big moves out there in Milwaukee in the last couple hours. But obviously, you know, he was the longest tenured player on your roster. I mean, there was a million. You know what the funny part is, too, in a way, that all through the years you heard, oh, he's definitely going to get traded this time. He's gone at the trade deadline. He's going to the Lakers, right? That was for 5 years, it felt like. And then kind of once you maybe felt it was a little bit safe, right, after the finals run and everything, then he gets shipped off to the rivals in Milwaukee. So, Glenn, we'll start off with you, man, and just kind of get your initial thoughts when you saw this move happen, and that you had at least a little bit of time to process it, what this means for your team and the Indiana Pacers. Go ahead.
Well, one thing, big and even half of it, a little bit surprised, but at the end of the day, when I look at it, you know, here we are 3 or 4 hours later, not really surprised, and it sucks at the start of the day, but you know, it's the way of the world, man, and I'm not really upset about it. You know, I just kind of wish you went with to Frankie's Lakers, obviously, but you can't pickers can't be choosers in that way. So not really surprised, and the NBA Finals, you know, with Tyrese going down, changed the whole team's dynamic going forward. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, and Chris, we'll go to you next. Obviously, you kind of felt that Milwaukee was going to do something to fill that center slot with Brook Lopez signing a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. And Lopez has been a good player for many years for Milwaukee, a good deep threat as well as a good defender. So you knew they were going to make a move. Obviously, we know the kind of the with Turner, it wasn't really expected. You know, I didn't hear a whole lot of chatter about him going somewhere else. A lot of the talk is on Ayton right now, like we mentioned yesterday, who got bought out by the Blazers and saying, okay, maybe he might go to Milwaukee, but the Bucks decided to pull out the Brinks truck and go get Miles Turner. So what do you think of the move for Milwaukee on their part? And also, of course, as a Pacers fan.
As a Pacers fan, it surprised me some because I figured the only way that it surprised me a little bit, but didn't surprise me too much because of the Halliburton injury. Because before the Halliburton injury, the ownership had came out and said that they were willing to go into the luxury tax to keep the team together. And then once you had the Halliburton injury, of course, that has just changed everything because now you don't have him all next season. And I don't think they wanted to go into the luxury tax with Miles Turner, who's getting ready to be 30 years old. You're not going to have Halliburton next year, so you're not sure what everything's going to look like. So I think they decided they wanted to wait, get Halliburton back before they spent the money and went into the luxury tax. Turner was a big part of our team, but another thing I think kind of hurt Turner was he didn't have a great finals. He played pretty good first part of the playoffs, but toward the end of the playoffs, he couldn't do nothing offensively. He's still done decent blocking shots, but that fell off a little bit. But I think the big thing was the injury to Halliburton, and it kind of reset the trajectory of where the Pacers were going financially. So I think they'll bring in somebody. I think getting Isaiah Jackson back will help. Isaiah Jackson will start getting more minutes as a big man, and then of course they're going to try to bring in another big man. But I just don't know if they wanted to get. I guess the offer I saw was they were pretty far off on the offer from what I saw. I heard that they were offering like $60 million, and he ended up getting $107 million from Milwaukee. So can't blame Miles. I mean, if there's that much money out there, you got to go get it. But he's been a good pacer, and I wish him luck where he's at. Even though it does suck he went to Milwaukee, but Milwaukee had to do something to try to keep Giannis there as well. And I think this is a big move for them to kind of show Giannis, hey, we're trying to put some guys around you to be able to compete again.
Yeah, and Tony, let's go to you now and get your thoughts on the Miles Turner situation. Before we'll keep it on Milwaukee because they've made a lot of moves here in the last 24 hours. We'll just kind of do a quick rundown of the team, and also if you're Indiana now, I guess the question is who do you have to fill the role of Miles Turner? Because that's like I said, you're losing your veteran, your guy in your team there, and does this feel like a gap year to you, Tony, in the sense of just kind of tread water? Until you get Halliburton back, obviously he's your mainstay, he's your star player. Or do you think that that Indiana will make a splash in free agency and pick up someone who's out there that maybe we're just not aware of?
The only guy that would be out there would be the guy from Portland. And that would be the only guy, and it would depend on the money there. And like Chris said before, that really don't match the team. But then again, the team's not normal right now because Halliburton's not there. So Isaiah Jackson's pretty good. He not the outside shooter that Turner, is, but he can rim protect and he's a better rebounder than Turner. But I think they're gonna have to pay him a little bit to keep him too. And plus he's coming off an injury, so I don't know if he'll be ready at the start of the season. They did re-sign Bradley, but he's not going to be at a lot of minutes, so they're going to have to do something. I don't know. I know I've seen some fans. One guy's also in the Turner block with Glenn, who's a big Turner fan and a huge Pacer fan. He says he thinks the Pacers will make a splash in free agency next year.
Okay, so just kind of hold off this year, wait for Halliburton to get back, and then next year kind of run it back. Glenn, what do you feel?
I feel the same way Tony does. It makes sense because next year is probably going to be a wash. We might make the play-in. We might be the 6, 7, or 8 seed. We might make a little bit of noise, but I don't see us going past the first round. So but it's definitely going to be interesting going forward. That's for sure, man. I'm looking forward to it. That will also at the end of the day mean because the way the Pacers organization have been running the fan zone, pretty much if Miles were to go, they probably wouldn't bring it back with a new player. So that means I'll be a paying customer going forward, which is okay with me. So.
Well, maybe Halliburton can start something in the offseason here. Maybe he can help you out, right? The Halliburton homies or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But, guys, let's just stick to Milwaukee real quick because they've been the most active team over the last night. like I said, we just mentioned those two moves there with Dame getting waived, then picking up Miles Turner. They also have agreed to a deal with Taurean Prince, 2 years, 7.1. He's coming back to Milwaukee. They also got Gary Trent Jr., 2 years, $7.5 million. They got Gary Harris as well, 2-year deal. Terms are not listed. They traded Pat Connaughton a couple hours ago to Charlotte in exchange for Vasily Micic, I believe is how he's pronounced. And also Jericho Sims has signed a 2-year deal with the Milwaukee Bucks as well. So, I mean, they've lost some good players, obviously, but, I mean, they've recouped them in record time, it feels like. But the kind of the real issue or the real big question is there's still a lot of talk out there. There's still a lot of rumors that they could move on from Giannis. And I've seen insiders report that Giannis wasn't happy with how the front office handled the whole Damian Lillard situation, with how they just, outright bought him out, basically. And he wasn't too pleased with that. But is there still a chance, do you think, that Giannis gets moved? Or if you're in Milwaukee, do you think they have a formidable team to, I don't know about championship, but at least have a competitive type season? We'll go with Tony, start things off here with this.
I'll be shocked if Giannis is moved now. I don't think. And I seen right when the trade happened, I was watching ESPN, and Giannis put out a tweet, said that things are crazy, don't know what's happening, and then he put it was a picture of him holding the NBA trophy, and it said 100 on it. Then the reports come out they wasn't happy, but then I've heard people say that's a false report about him being unhappy. But I know he's overseas, so yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think they would have made this deal if they weren't planning on keeping him. So, and if he leaves, they're going to have to get a lot for him. I mean, a ton. So yeah. And I don't understand. Everybody thinks, well, you if Giannis wants to leave, you got to accommodate him. Bull crap. I'm not from that side. I mean, yeah, if I can make my team better and we get with Giannis, great. But I'm not going to weaken my team and set me back 10 years to accommodate a player. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, Chris, let's get your thoughts on that, man.
The only way that I see the Bucks, the only way I see Giannis not with the Bucks is if Giannis was to try to force his way out, trying to force him to trade him. I don't think the Bucks ever wanted to move on from him. I think it was more of was Giannis going to be willing to wanting to stay there. At this point, I think he'll be there at least next season. I think if he was going to move, we'd already heard something. But I have heard a rumor that Houston is trying to get, the Rockets are trying to get Giannis there to come the team up with KD, which I'm sure that would make our buddy Jay real happy.
Yeah,
I think Jay's still upset that they got Kevin Durant.
I mean, we'll see if there's any steam on that, but I have heard that. But my feeling is Giannis is going to be with the Bucks, and the Bucks are trying to retool, and hopefully if they can stay healthy, they hope they can make a run at it.
Okay. And Glenn, what do you think, man?
The Bucks and Giannis were in cahoots the whole time. I think Giannis had this shit planned out for a little bit. They were just waiting to pull the trigger.
Okay. You think he was orchestrating it, maybe?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee wins the championship next year.
All right. I mean, we've seen some crazy things, all in all, but I think that obviously he's got a lot of suitors. If Milwaukee's willing to give up, their star player, but they'd be getting a lot, right? That they'd be getting draft picks, young players. I mean, the whole everything, basically wiping a team out, kind of like the Paul George trade, right? With OKC.
Well, Houston has the assets that they could give up and still keep a heck of a team around him. So that would be a perfect fit, probably for both teams. But again, I'd be surprised if it happens.
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty crazy with that. I'm trying to see if if there's any betting odds out there for who he might go to, things how they've moved in the last 24 hours. I will say one, and we'll kind of transition into this. So right now, the Bucks are the odds favorite at minus 200, but this kind of plays in perfectly because the team that's the second best odds at plus 600, the Atlanta Hawks, and a team that they made 2 moves yesterday. They got Luke Kennard from Memphis. They got Nickeil Alexander-Walker from Minnesota. And 2 guys who, obviously with Kennard, he's a good 3-point shooter. And Walker can kind of do a little bit of everything, right? He's a really good defensive player, but can also knock down shots. You know, he's a younger guy, too. I believe he's 26, going to go on 27. But, I mean, Atlanta's got a ton of young pieces as well. And let's not forget, on draft night, they got, I believe it was a New Orleans pick for the 2026 draft in the first round. So they got some draft capital, and they have a ton of young players. They could ship out if they wanted to. But, I mean, I think that with the moves Atlanta's made, obviously we know picking up Porzingis last week to solidify the center spot now that Capella has went back to Houston. Jay, you're welcome. You gave him to us. We gave him back to you. I mean, it's a team that I think Atlanta's going to be, you know, especially with the East wide open. I think that they went from a team that I was hoping last week, guys, could be maybe like a play-in team or a 7-8 seed, that they might be a top 5 team now at this point, just based off of their defensive stats alone. But I thought that they've done really well. They've been super aggressive this offseason as well, which we haven't seen. But they did get a new GM, so obviously you know that he is trying to make a big splash, and this is the year to do so, right? With all the injuries we've seen, we know Boston looks like a just completely shell of their former selves. You know, Indiana, they're people. Some people say they might be taking a step back at this point. The Knicks are still looking for a head coach, but it seems like the Hawks have definitely been trending in the right direction since this offseason started with the draft, and also you know, all the young pieces they've had over the years that they're kind of, you know, trying to get more and more experience. But we'll go to Glenn first, man, and let's talk about Atlanta. And they have the second best odds to land Giannis if they want to pursue him. Let's get your thoughts. Is there any smoke to that fire, or is it just all talk?
I think it's all talk. It goes back to what I was saying about the Miles going to Milwaukee and how Giannis, I think, was probably trying to court Miles or make it to where they can get a deal going, you know. So not much to add to the Atlanta stuff. So
all right, understood. Tony, what's your thoughts, man?
I like what Atlanta's doing. I don't think that, for one thing, I think if Milwaukee does make a deal, I think they'll try to keep him out of the East. So if he goes somewhere, he's going to the West. The Pacers didn't have that choice. I mean, he was a free agent. See, that's the sad part with the Pacers, that, you know, he was a free agent and you got nothing back for him.
Yeah.
You know, that's what sucks. You know, it wasn't a sign and trade or anything like that. So, yeah, I'll be shocked if Giannis has moved this year. So I don't see it.
Chris, can he come down here to Atlanta? Can I take him to some local spots?
He might come down there for a vacation or something, but I don't think he's going to be on the Hawks.
Right, we'll take him to the lake.
Hey, I can understand you wanting to.
Logan, I hope for you, I hope he does go there, because I mean, with them getting Porzingis, and if you add him,
get him stuck in that Atlanta traffic,
they'd be a pretty good team. I just have a strong feeling he's going to be back in Milwaukee. I thought that the whole time. I never thought he was going anywhere. I think it was more the media. It was more of a storyline that the media kind of created as soon as the season ended, when they got put out by the Pacers, was, oh, he's leaving, he's going somewhere else, and it just kind of got ran with. So I never really thought he would be gone. It surprised me that they just waived Lillard.
Yeah, that is very telling.
I got a question for everybody. To go back on Milwaukee, do you think getting Turner really makes that big of a difference? Does it make them the number one team in your eyes? I mean, I know what the experts may say. Do you really think that upgrades them that much that they're going to be a finals team, or at least a conference finals team this year? I know there's a lot of questions in the East, so I understand that some people may think that, because, you know, like I said, Boston's taking a step down. Now the Pacers, even more, looks like they're taking a step down with Turner being gone. We'll see. But, but I think some people are discounting Detroit. I think Detroit's a real dangerous team. I hear everybody talking about other teams, but nobody mentions Detroit. And Detroit was a team that had the Knicks beat and had some bad luck. So the Knicks should probably never even could have possibly not even been where they were because Detroit had them. So, and of course the Knicks, I mean, they don't have a coach, but they still got a pretty good roster. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Turner makes Milwaukee take that next step? Or do you think a healthy Lillard would have been better? What do you guys think?
I think a healthy Lillard, maybe, only because I say this, they don't really have a true point guard at this point, do they? Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I don't know who their starter is going to be at that spot. I mean, look, we know Giannis is ball dominant, obviously, but he's not a point guard. You know what I mean? He can get you assists if he needs to, but he's going to drive to the basket 9 times out of 10. So, I mean, there are kind of question marks there. Let's also, let's not forget, too, they picked up Kyle Kuzma as well, a guy who can be very streaky. He can have some off nights. He can have some on nights. They got a couple other guys like Kevin Porter Jr., who he might be their starter at this point. I mean, I'm not too keen on his play. I know he was Jay's guy for a little bit. They re-signed Bobby Portis. I mean, I think Milwaukee's going to be competitive, right? I don't think I'm not penciling them in for a finals or even an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, but I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make some, they're going to be a tough team. But I'm not locking them in as an Eastern Conference finalist or anything like that. Not this time.
I know a lot of people feel like that Turner will help because he'll help create space for Giannis, and he'll also help, rim protect. Not a great rebounder, but he is a good rim protect. Pretty good defensive. I mean, he's a decent defensive player. So I think it'll be interesting, but I don't know if it makes him. To me, I don't think it makes him a lot better. That's just my opinion. Chris, what do you think?
I think it makes him a little bit better because I think he's an upgrade of over aging Lopez at the center position. So I do think it makes him better, but to me, it don't make him a championship team. I didn't think they were a championship team last year, even with Lillard. And a lot of people thought they were going to be, but they just never developed I think like they thought it would because of injuries and stuff. To me, they are. I think they're more competitive. I think they'll have a chance to compete for the Eastern Conference this year because of a lot of the injuries that's happening. Things are going to look different, but I still wouldn't have them favored to win the East. I agree with you. I think Detroit's going to be good again, but I would have you got to have the Knicks up there because of the roster. But I still think a lot of people are overlooking the Cleveland Cavaliers because of the way their season ended. They still have a good roster there, and I think the experience of being in that playoff, second round playoff, being in that series, I think they learned from that, and I think they're going to be a pretty good team this year as well. So, and Orlando Magic should be better as well. So. It'd be interesting to see how the East shakes out. I think with the injuries and everything that happens, that gives Milwaukee a better chance of maybe getting the Eastern Conference Finals and a chance to make the finals. But I wouldn't have them as the favorites.
Also, too, just Glenn, before we get your comments on that, you mentioned the Knicks, Chris, and they did make a slight move. They got Jordan Clarkson. They signed him to the roster. We know he's a capable guard. He's been in the league for a while now, and he's another guy who he can get hot, right? He can score in bunches if you need him to. In Milwaukee, or excuse me, in New York, they've got a good roster. They're seeming getting better and better. But Glenn, let's get your thoughts on what Tony asked, and then I'll kind of switch it over to New York because we did hear some rumors about their head coaching gig, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's get your thoughts.
Yeah. I honestly, the Milwaukee ain't winning the championship next year. I mean, I put that tagline up there just for shits and giggles, obviously. So, but yeah, Detroit, they obviously gonna be better, and New York could probably win the East. They're a great team. They took us to 6 games, stuff like that. Yes, the East is wide open next year. But we still got a little bit more free agency stuff left to go in that way. So the East could change, crazy once again by the time this is all done.
Yeah, I mean there's been a ton of moves already in just a week and a half or so of free agency, if that. I mean there's so much going on. But let's go back to New York, because I heard there was some people kind of just talking online I had seen, but it does pose an interesting question that we know. Like, so we know the Knicks got a head coach. I've seen some people throw out the name out there, and we've talked about her on the show many times. And
Dawn Staley.
Nope, not Dawn Staley, but Becky Hammon. And we know that, with Becky, she was with Coach Pop for all those years. And while, yes, she does in the W right now. I mean, you would think you'd jump for that opportunity if New York is formally putting an offer out there. Like I said, this is all just talk that we've seen. But would New York ever do? Would the Knicks ever offer her a deal, you think, to be the coach of this franchise, especially at this point in time? A team that's we all believe is going to be at least top 5, not top 3 in the East this year. We'll start off with you, Glenn.
I think this is because Becky Hammon and the Aces, they are doing all right, but they're not what they once were. They're not the dominant team in the W like they once was. That current thing currently goes to Frankie's New York Liberty. Mm-hmm. And even that, the talent is pretty, I wouldn't say even, but the parity is there, for the WNBA. So if New York wanted to buy into having Becky Hammon as the next coach, this is probably their best chance of her being able to make that jump.
Okay. Tony, is it the time? If you're the Knicks, do you pull the trigger?
I don't know. I'd heard Dawn Staley. I'd kind of been like Glenn. I heard that on ESPN. They mentioned Dawn Staley. I hadn't heard of Hammond. Yeah, I know Rick Carlisle feels like the assistant for Indiana is qualified to be a head coach also. So I think it's going to happen. I don't know, who will be the first, but I think it'll happen eventually. I don't know. I don't think it'll be this year though. I still think it's a couple years down the road.
Okay. And Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it'll eventually happen that there's going to be a women head coach. I do agree with that. I don't think it's going to be this year. And I second what you said about the Indiana Pacers assistant. Can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she's yeah, she's a real good coach as well. You see her involved a lot on the sidelines if you watch Pacers basketball, and so I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see her move up at some point. But I think they're going to hire. I think they're going to hire Mike Brown. I really do. They brought him in for a second interview.
Sorry, I didn't think
you can't control it.
But
that'd be the most thing ever.
For a second interview. It don't make no sense. I mean, you had a good coach that was taking you places you hadn't been in over 25 years, and you had 2 back-to-back over 50-win seasons, and you just move on. You just get rid of them.
That's James Dolan for you.
And because you're not, and nothing against Mike Brown, because he's not a terrible coach by any means, but he's not an upgrade over Tom Thibodeau either.
Nope.
At least in my opinion. So you know what I mean. So to me, that move just didn't make a whole lot. The Knicks messed this up. You don't fire Thibodeau if you don't have a plan and basically already have. If you're going to fire a coach that's having success, you have to have like a plan and know where you're going. You just don't fire the guy.
Like the Pacers did after we got rid of the guy before Carlisle.
Yeah, let's just fire the guy and then we'll just flip a coin and see who's out there. I just don't make a lot of sense. But for the New York Knicks, I guess it does make a lot of sense because they're known for messing things up.
No love lost. I see there, Chris.
I can see why Frankie's not a fan of them. Honestly,
he is a Lakers fan.
They go get no New York Knicks love from over in this area.
No. The thought of me on the previous question about them potentially being the East champions.
Mhm.
That's probably as close as you get. Though you'll get that from me.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are fools. I mean, I think the perfect guy's out there for him, and I think it's because they're worried about their soft ass players. I'd bring him alone. He's won a championship. I mean, I think the perfect guy's out there now. I think he's a tough nosed guy, probably more of a tough nose than what Thibodeau was, and that's why the players don't want him and they're afraid to bring him in. I think they figure the players will be happy with Brown because Brown's not that tough, and I think that's a big mistake. I mean, Carlisle's is a taskmaster to a certain degree, and he helped get us to the one game from the championship. I mean,
At this
yeah,
point,
I think Malone would be a good fit.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they hired Brunson's dad as the head coach.
Yeah.
He's already assisted. He was already
yeah,
assisted on the staff.
true.
So
He's already there.
why not just promote him up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just move him a seat or two over.
Yeah. Well, hey, we'll see what happens. But guys, I mean, as we've been doing the show here, we've been going on for 31 minutes. There's been a move that's taken place. There's been a signing. The Toronto Raptors have signed Jakob Poeltl, 4-year deal, $104 million contract extension. He'll be there from 29 to 30. He's picking up his player option this year for 26, 27, adding an extra 3 years onto that deal. Toronto's in a weird spot. We talked about them earlier, how they got rid of Masai Ujiri, and they've got some young pieces, and now they're locking up Poeltl, who they're expecting to be kind of I don't know about the face of their franchise, but a solid piece. But I'm not surprised by the move, but that kind of shows me that at least Toronto is willing to pay players now. You know what I mean? They're willing to pay some guys to keep them on the roster and not just have them walk. So it's nice to see, they're being at least a little bit competitive with that. And then also just tying, another big contract into that we've seen unfold over the last handful of hours. We saw MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 4-year contract extension, Supermax, $285 is the amount to stick with the Thunder in a move I don't think anyone's surprised by.
Yeah, that's a little bit over $71 million a year, highest paid player ever.
Yeah, the richest annual salary in league history.
Yeah, I mean, the league's a lot of what you've done for me lately, and they got championship, and he was the MVP of the league, MVP of the championships. I mean, you gotta give him credit. I mean, I just wonder how long that'll last though, because you got a big free agent with the Lakers next year. So we'll see how long that highest paid lasts.
And he's, like I said, the scary thing too, he's only 26.
Yeah.
But he's been in the league for a while too, so he's experienced, but also still young. And God, Clippers fans are just punching the air right now with all the bad moves that they've made over the last handful of years, thinking they were going to get a championship, but then they basically just handed it to OKC on a silver platter with that horrific Paul George trade, which I feel like we can just do a whole episode about looking back on it now, 2020 hindsight. But hey, Chris, let's get your thoughts, man, on if you have any thoughts about the Raptors signing Poeltl to a couple of years and SGA re-upping with OKC for the formidable future.
I think the Raptors move was a good move. That Poeltl's a good young player. I think it was good to lock him up. I know Glenn would attest to this. I watched that Poeltl give the Pacers some fits in a couple of those games when we played the Raptors. So I like watching him play. With Alexander, it didn't surprise me at all. They were going to give him the Supermax, and he knew he was going to take it because that's where he's going to be able to make the most money too. Was with OKC, and with OKC having basically going to be able to bring everybody back and can make some moves if they want. Like everybody knew Alexander was going to be there, so I don't know. He won't be the highest paid for too long, just because of the way these Supermax work with some of these younger guys are just going to keep getting more money. But no, it's deserving, and hell, he'll be able to sign another big deal, at least one more big deal in his career, maybe two, depending on if he stays healthy and how his body holds up.
Yeah, and Glenn, what's your thoughts, man? Oh, Glenn might have. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
I was just getting ready to say I gotta go pay rent, pick up a NASCAR decklet, so I'll catch you guys later.
All right,
All right, man. All right, take it easy, Glenn.
Real quick on the champs. I know Williams is a free agent next year, and so is Dort. So they're going to have to pay out some money.
Yeah, I give one of them.
They'll have to pay some money next year. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I you know they're going to pay Williams. Dort, I don't know.
And that's the thing is Williams, we saw really kind of have a coming out party throughout the playoffs, for those who don't follow the team super tight like that. But for Dort, I feel like he's more expendable in a way.
Yeah, I think Dort will be the one they move on from.
I mean, he's a great defensive guy. Don't get me wrong, but you can find, I feel like, more defensive players in the league than you would, a two-way player like Williams is. So whenever the time comes, if they can't get both of them, I feel like you got to lock up Williams than Dort in that if you had to pick between the two.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think they'll lock Williams up. Dort will probably be the one that might move on because they'll have some of the younger guys that they draft, like that they've drafted and stuff. They'll probably move up or they'll go get somebody. But I think Dort will be the one that they move on from.
Yeah, we'll see.
Dort had a pretty up and down.
Playoffs. That's a good point there too. Of course, I see this guy as soon as Glenn leaves. I'd love to get his thoughts on it, but actually some racing news here. If you guys care to comment here, Trackhouse Racing and Daniel Suarez agreed to part ways at the conclusion of the 2025 Cup season. So he is going to be leaving the team, and that's going to be a big loss there for number 99 leaving Trackhouse. Into the season. If you guys have any comments about that, go ahead. If not, then we can just keep moving.
Yeah, I don't know much about him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I follow more IndyCar, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know who Suarez is, but
I heard the name.
Yeah, but I don't know much about why he left or anything like that. But I don't watch much NASCAR. I try to watch some. I'll watch it more this time of year now that you don't have NBA and stuff on. So on Sundays, if I'm home, I'll watch it. But a lot of times on Sundays, I'm watching golf.
That's fair. That's fair. We'll go over to the football news now, guys. A little bit of football news. Not as big as the other day.
I had a couple questions for you guys, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
NBA, I just wanted to see what your thoughts was on Denver trading Michael Porter Jr. away for Cam Johnson from the Nets. Well, do you think that's an upgrade for Denver, or do you think it's a bigger upgrade for Brooklyn?
I'll go upgrade for Denver. I like Cam Johnson. He's a really good 3-and-D player. And Porter was kind of an interesting player, right? He looked great at times, but other times he'd look unplayable from what we saw, just taking, erratic shots. So I like this pickup for Denver, honestly. I think that is a really, a good upgrade. And for Brooklyn, it's not a bad move. You gave up Cam Johnson, who is your, arguably your best player. We saw that D'Angelo Russell left the team as well. Look, the Nets are going to be in a full rebuild mode, it seems, because if you look at that roster, man, there's not a whole lot of players that you've ever heard of on there. So for Porter, I have to suffer for a little bit, but I think Denver made a really good move with this one. But Chris, what do you think?
Oh no, I agree. I really like the move for Denver. You upgraded. Michael Porter Jr. was a real good player for him, but the key word there was. I don't know. I think the injuries have slowed him down. He's battled some injuries the last couple of years, but he's also lost he's lost some confidence. He don't like you said. He's taking erratic shots. He he don't look like the same player anymore. I think he's gotten in his own head a little bit. It might be due to some of the injuries and might not be able to do some stuff he used to be able to do. But he used to be like a sharpshooter from 3-point range, and I watched him this year in the playoffs, and it wasn't even close. He was just throwing up brick after brick. So I do think it's a good move for Denver. Cam Johnson, like you said, is a good two-way player, and I think it's more for Brooklyn. It's just more freeing up money, like you said, and getting ready for a rebuild.
Yeah, and Denver also got Bruce Brown on a vet minimum Good deal. Obviously team friendly. Guy who's, well, might not have the best stats at this point, but can play good defense, can get you points if you need to, get you 10 or so. But more so, they're kind of for a locker room type guy, a locker room leader, someone who was there when they won a championship a handful of years ago and seems to be well liked and well respected by the team and the franchise. So that's also just like a smaller move there, but I think a good pickup for Denver nonetheless.
And I was going to ask you guys also about the Houston Rockets with all the moves they made. I mean, of course, Durant, but they got Capella back, and they also picked up Finney Smith from the Lakers in free agency. Doing Finney Smith. What do you guys think about Houston's going to have a pretty deep team now? Do you think that they could make a run?
I mean, Houston was number 2 this past season in the West, and they're hoping to become number 1 this year, obviously, with the aggressive moves they made. You hope it doesn't backfire, right? That you give up kind of some of the younger players, but you obviously sign Durant, who's one of the best scorers in the league. We know that much. You get Finney Smith, who's a good guy who can knock down shots. You can play really good wing defense, perimeter defense as well. You get Capella back, who, yes, he is older, but you have Sengun there, right, who's kind of the younger guy who's probably going to be the starter, honestly. And Capella will be the backup, kind of, he can get you lobs, he can get you blocks and rebounds. But honestly, man, I think Houston is going to be, whatever the odds come out, they might be, top 3 favorites to win it all, just based off of the roster talent at this time.
They're the second favorite right now to win the NBA championship next year.
Who's first? OKC, I'm guessing.
Yep. OKC's 1, and Houston's number 2. I think I want to say like plus 750 or something like that.
But yeah, I think they've done really good.
They did have the Pacers at number 2 until the Halliburton injury, and then when the Halliburton injury happened and the KD trade happened, the Pacers and Houston kind of flip-flopped. Well, okay. Pacers fell way down, but
yeah.
But no, about Houston, I think Houston's going to be better this year than they were last year. I really do. What they were hurting last year, if they couldn't get out and run in the half court, they didn't have a shooter. They didn't have a consistent guy that could hit shots. They have that. They have that now, and then even bringing in Smith is going to give them a little bit more shooting than what they had last year. So I like what Houston's done, and I think they're going to be real competitive in the West and have a chance to go on a deep run.
Yeah, they like I said, they got a really good team here. I'm looking here. I just found a really quick article about just some odds that have happened or that have shifted here in the last handful of hours. Denver improved from 16-1 to 9-1, chance to win it. The Clippers, they jumped up a lot. They went from 33.1% to 16 after getting Lopez and Harden. Mavericks went up a good bit as well after getting Cooper Flag and getting Russell. The Celtics dipped. The Spurs went down also. And then the Pacers, like you said, Chris, they dropped from 16 to 50 in terms of their odds there. Like I said, OKC is looks like 5-2. Houston right behind them, yeah. And Cavaliers, Nuggets, and the Knicks seem to be kind of the next closest. Kind of surprised here, though, guys. The Orlando Magic have a 12-1 odds for this article I'm reading here. I don't see that. That feels like a little bit too early for me.
I agree.
When they got Desmond Bain, they shot Vegas shot them up on the odds for some reason. Mm-hmm. I guess getting 1 3-point shooter that is going to change everything for them.
I mean, look, they got some good talent, right? I love Ben.
They got a good team,
he's a good player.
I just don't see Bain making that big of a difference. I think there'll be a playoff team and could make it probably maybe even the second round of the playoffs. I think Orlando's going to be a good team, but I think that's a little high on championship odds.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, I think that's all the moves we've gotten for now. Nothing more is broke in the last 10 minutes. So we can finally take a break with the basketball moves here. But my God, I know there's going to be a lot more here tomorrow. We're going to go to football here, guys. Obviously, we talked yesterday about the trade with the Dolphins and the Steelers, but the Dolphins, they also made a move today in a very surprising twist that no one would have expected. The Dolphins are trading a 2026 sixth-round draft pick to the New York Giants in exchange for tight end Darren Waller, who's going to be coming out of retirement. He's 32 at the moment, and his best seasons came in Vegas, where he had a combined close to 200 receptions, over 2,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. They signed him in 2022 to a 3-year extension, but they traded him to the Giants, and then he announced his retirement after just one season in New York. Waller allegedly told people close to him that he missed football and was returning for the love of the game. That's according to an ESPN source here. So what are your thoughts here with Miami? Miami's had a bit of a whirlwind type couple of days. Well, I mean, does this improve their chances of, and look, we're not going NFL championship. We're not going Super Bowl, but let's just go with getting the AFC East crown. Let's just go with that. Does Waller provide a big impact, or do you think it's just going to be kind of minimal since he didn't play it all last year? We'll go with you first, Chris.
I think it's going to be interesting because Waller we all know was a hell of a player, but we've also seen guys that sit out a season and come back and not be close to the same as they were. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of impact he does have. I think in that offense, though, with the weapons they have, and with McDaniels, I think he'll have an impact. I still don't think the Dolphins are going to are a team that's going to win the Super Bowl or anything, but I do think that he has the ability to have an impact on the team and have a good season. I think he fit in that offense well, and I think McDaniels can get him open. But a lot of it, I'd like to see what he looks like. Can he still, Can he still cut? Can he still move like he once was able to? So it'll be interesting. But I think he'll have an impact on the team.
What do you think, Tony?
Do you guys know if he had ties to that coach or to Miami, the city, or anything? Because I know he told the Giants that he wanted to come back and play, but the only team he wanted to play for was the Miami Dolphins. He didn't want to play anywhere else. And the Giants made the trade and got that to happen. So I wonder why just the Dolphins. I was curious if you guys knew anything on that.
I personally have not seen anything about why he only wanted to be in Miami.
Yeah, he went to the Giants, and I seen the report today that he went to the Giants and said, "Look, I want to come back. I want to play football, but the only team I want to play for is the Miami Dolphins." And the Giants accommodated him. So I thought that was interesting. I think he was one heck of a tight end. But again, setting out a year, I guess you never know. But the fact that they give up a pretty good tight end, I guess they got one back. They made that trade and give up Smith, so they got something back, and I don't think they had to give a lot up for him. So.
No, I mean, it was later round picks, 6, 7, which, I mean, they might be someone one day, but I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's guys who don't contribute a whole lot. But I mean, we'll see how he does. Obviously, the Dolphins needed to make a move after getting rid of Johnny Smith, who had a really good year for them last year, career highs in a lot of categories, but it's interesting, though, with Waller, because it's kind of a low-risk, high-reward type situation, you know what I mean? Where you didn't give up much for him, but if he's still in shape, if he can still, play up to the level like he played in Vegas, which was he was, one of the top 5 tight ends you can say at one point in the league with how well he was. But, I mean, look, we know that obviously the Giants were a dumpster fire for forever, and they're still not looking great. But I mean, I like the move for Miami, and Miami's an interesting squad in the East. But I mean, we know that they've got some tough competition over there this year. As opposed to years past, maybe where they had. I thought that in the last 2-3 years, the Dolphins really had a chance to compete in the East. I didn't think they were better than Buffalo, but I thought it was maybe them and Buffalo were the top 2 teams. While the Patriots kind of took a step back, and the Jets were awful. But I don't think it improves their odds a ton. I don't think this, takes them over the top. I do think it helps him, though, in the end, if he does work out and, if he's coached well by McDaniel and Tua can, stay healthy and get him the ball, I think it could work out.
And they were looking for a guy to replace Smith,
Exactly. Yep. So we'll see here. Also, guys, I see here Caitlin Clark. She has been ruled out for the Commissioner's Cup final. Unfortunately for the Fever fans, we know she's been dealing with a groin injury for a little bit of time now. So she is not going to be at the game against the Minnesota Lynx later on tonight. It's going to be 8:00 start there on Prime. She missed 5 games early in the year due to a quad injury. This is going to be her 3rd straight missed game due to that groin issue. So, I mean, like I said, it does suck. You'd obviously hope for her to be back and on a big stage, but you never want to see injuries, harm a player and just take them out of the game for any amount of time. But unfortunately, she's kind of been bitten by the injury bug this season. Chris, do you think she, whenever she does come back, because I think she is listed as, I don't know if it's captain, but she is listed as a starter for the All-Star game for the WNBA. But do you think maybe she gets her groove second half of the season?
I think so. I think having the All-Star break and stuff give her a chance to maybe get healthy, and then hopefully be able to stay healthy. She's been just dealing with some nagging injuries pretty much all season now, and that's not something that really in the past that she's ever really dealt with. Because this is the first time she's ever missed any games through high school, college, and then now WNBA. So I mean, it's not something that usually happens. So I think it's just an outlier season so far, and hopefully after the All-Star break, she can heal up some and it turns around.
Yeah, Tony, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if she'll even play in the All-Star game. I don't know if she should. She is the captain on the, I don't know if the East or West. I think it's the East, because I know she set a record for votes, over 1 million votes. So she did real well on that. But it's been weird. I know the other players been stepping up. The last couple games played pretty well. So I mean, I think they're still a pretty good team even without her, believe it or not. But as far as having any chance of doing any damage in the playoffs, they're going to need her healthy. So, and the Liberty has went on a bad stretch. They started the season undefeated, like 9-10 games in a row, and they've lost like 4 or 5 games in a row. So the Liberty's struggling. So, everybody goes through stretches. So hopefully she can get healthy.
Yeah, no doubt. We want to see her back on the court and, do what she does best. But well wishes to her. Hopefully she gets back sooner rather than later. But guys, any final comments here? Any final topics you want to discuss before we get out of here today? Chris, we'll start with you.
No, I think I'm good. Hopefully the Reds can get back on track tonight. We had a rough one yesterday, but hopefully we can get back tonight and even the series up. Other than that, that's about all I have.
Yeah, that rookie pitcher Burns, he went from one end of the spectrum to the other. He had a good outing against the Yankees, and then only got 1 out yesterday and had to be took out of the game in the first inning. So he went from one end to the other. So, I mean, hopefully the Reds can get on track and everybody have a good night, have a good day. And I think I'll try watching that Liberty game tonight. All
right, there you go. Well, guys, we appreciate you tuning in here today, live on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, watching the afternoon show, of course, hosted by myself, host producer Logan Landers, and cohorts Tony and Chris Gonzalez. And also shout out Big Glenn for chiming in here today and giving his opinions on all the just craziness here in the sports world. We're going to wrap up the show today. If you have any other suggestions, any topics you want us to discuss, just put a comment there in our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, anywhere else you follow us. Just use our link tree in the description. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your nights, everyone. And we'll see you again on another live episode of the afternoon show here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network.